Oh, I thought you were going to finish the song. This is the Ultimate Cricket, the one-day international edition on the home of champions, SportsMax. The DJ cut me off, but that's okay. He's still a good chap. Today we're discussing the all-rounders to pick an ultimate all-rounder, the shortlist of 12 of Freddie, Razak, Simons, Botham, Dev, Al Hassan, Khan, Freddie Flintoff, Shine Watson, Jacques Callis, Lance Klusner, the man from KwaZulu-Natal in South Africa, and the man who has a second career. He's more successful than many specialist entertainers. His name, Dwayne John Bravo. They just say DJ Bravo, all right? Plus, there is a wild card that will be introduced by one of our panelists in short order. And so we'll have 13 men, but we only need 6 at the end of segment 1. So we're starting with 13, but by segment 1's end, we should only have 6 standing. The panel will decide on which all-rounder they want to nominate for the SportsMax Ultimate ODI team. All right, so the selection breakdown doesn't change, my producer says. 30% to the zone hosts, 30% to the panel, and 40% to the online vote. Online voting, it's a huge thing. It's going to be a massive thing in the upcoming US presidential election in November, and it's already a big thing on sportsmax.tv, where you go and you vote for your guy. You can vote for sportsmax.tv. Well, go to sportsmax.tv/ultimate. That's sportsmax.tv/ultimate. I can hear broadcasting trainer in my head saying, "Young man, you're going too fast." So I did that slowly. sportsmax.tv/ultimate and select your team. You have until Friday, June 5. All right? So, my friend, we did the business with the wicketkeeper yesterday. It was a simple task, really. Yes. It was like she's a man-eater against, I was going to say she's a man-eater against a field of claimers, but it was like she's a man-eater against a field of A-class horses at level weights. Yeah. And it was a no contest. Yeah. Will today be more difficult, you think?
I think it might be, because of the nature of what an all-rounder contributes to a game. We have had, in recent decades, some magical players who have played the role of all-rounders. When you look at the Indian Kapil Dev, Imran Khan from Pakistan, Ian Botham from England, Freddie Flintoff, the Englishman as well. You're talking about players who generated huge excitement for their team, and because of the all-round nature of what they offer to a game, sometimes you are not sure what they're going to use to win a game for their team, whether it's with the ball or the bat. So I think today will be a little bit tougher, because MS Dhoni had little challenge yesterday, and I would think whoever is decided on today, the margin won't be as great.
Yep. Master of Science Dhoni is the wicket keeper selected by the panel and by the hosts. Let's see what online says. And so far they've been speaking resoundingly in Dhoni's favor. I have a view about Freddie Flintoff, but I do not want to upset one of our guests on today's panel. Regional cricket umpire Chris Taylor is with us. The man I don't want to upset yet is commentator David Brooke, if at all. Analyst Kerry Scott is with us. And the man who speaks through numbers, statistician Zahir Clark, is also with us. Gentlemen, good afternoon. Good to see you smiling, David. You won't be smiling a few minutes from now, so you can get your smile out of the way, sir. How are you?
I don't make any judgments on the basis of the country that someone comes from. It's purely on cricketing ability, as that all-rounders night.
All right, my friend, I'm just troubling you. I'm not. I'll not. You're my guest. I'll treat you well. Let's stay with. Well, let me just say good afternoon around the panel before I come back to David. So good afternoon, Kerry.
Afternoon, man. Good to see you.
Excellent.
Looking sharp today, finally. I see Lance loaning one of his jackets.
Okay. So, Kerry, the person who wrote that joke for you, you should fire them. All right? You should fire them. Chris Taylor, good afternoon to you, my friend.
Greetings, my Old Trafford friends or foes.
There you go. And Zahir, how are you, sir?
I'm doing well. And greetings to the Old Trafford friends, sir.
Excellent. We're going to sort out Kerry Scott the next time we see him, Lance. Fret not. There you go. All right. So, David, I understand that you have a wild card in your top pocket. Who is that wild card?
Well, it's going to be no surprise. It's an astonishing omission from the shortlist. So the wise men and women that put together the shortlist have omitted the man who almost single-handedly won the World Cup for England just a few months ago, and that is Ben Stokes. The man of the final. He's going from strength to strength. You know, he is a man, obviously, currently playing, only 28 years old. Straight into my ultimate one-day 11. Just remember that switch hit for 6 during a test match. You know, a man who's got all the shots with bat and ball, fantastic fielder as well. If you wanted someone to fill the slot as an all-rounder in every form of the game, you know, we all love the flawed hero. Ben Stokes is very much the flawed hero. You know, 2017, his career was on the verge of oblivion after a brawl outside a Bristol nightclub. How he has fought his way back. A combination of the savage and the sublime, Ben Stokes. Straight into my ODI all-rounders shortlist.
All right, so David Brooke has spoken. Let his words resound. So the moot for the other 3 gentlemen is this. Ben Stokes at his best, better than the rest of these all-rounders at their very best. That's a topic I'm going to ask Chris Taylor to address right now.
Yeah, I'm going to challenge you on that, George, because I don't like when we say players at their best. I think part of the key of top-level sport is that players don't always produce the best. So that is something you have to always look at, that who also produces their best more often than not. And I think that it's not necessarily fair to say this player at his best, is he as good as that one at his best, because they don't necessarily bring their best very often. But I agree with David from the perspective that, Ben Stokes does have moments of brilliance and so on. I do, however, think that even though he has shown so much talent with the ball, I think he's a bit lacking in that area in the ODI format if you were to look at him. Still young, I think, in his ODI career. He's only played 80 matches. I would probably want to see more of Ben Stokes. The players that we're talking about have amassed a career of over, a lot of them, 200 to 300 matches and so on. I think 80 matches is still young in Ben Stokes' career. And based on what we know he can do with the ball, he just has not produced that yet. I think a strike rate in the 40s, just 1-5 wicket haul. He averages in the 40s as well. He's not delivered with the ball. Very expensive as well with the ball. So yes, he's done quite a bit with the bat, averages well at 40, but from an all-round perspective, I think that Ben Stokes is still a bit lacking. Might be more impressive than he and Botham, though.
Well, all right, you put that in early. But here's a concept about the best and producing players at their very best. All of these guys are top-level players. But when separating top-level players, you're talking about elite players in their categories. And when separating them, you have to talk about consistency. And you have to talk about who, as you said, was able to produce their best when their best was needed by the team, and who consistently over the body of work in their career was at their best more often than not. That's the only way you distill and separate these. So I think the premise of selecting from an elite batch is to go and look at consistency and who was at their best for a longer time and whose best was consistently better than the rest. I go to you, Zahir Clark, for your take on Ben Stokes, pivoting from the point that David made in choosing him as his wild card and forcing him into his ultimate ODI 11. Oh, the audio is gone. We're not, Zahir is speaking, but he's not registering. All right, let's pause on Zahir and switch the conversation up to Kerry. Let me hear you, Kerry, on Ben Stokes.
Yeah, I mean, I support some of what Chris said, in the sense that his body of work, I don't believe, is as complete as the others for me to really draw any, any proper analysis. However, where I will depart from Chris is where he spoke about he does not believe that looking at persons or saying that persons at their best, when you're assessing. I believe that is something that you have to do if you're looking at top level players. Chris Gayle at his best is far better than a George at his best. So we have to look at what each one of these players present to the table and what they are able to offer on their day at their best. Long and short of it is, I don't believe that Stokes has enough work under his belt for me to consider him as a part of the list.
Same point Chris made. All right, Zahir, are you ready with your analysis of Ben Stokes?
Yes, I'm ready. Are you guys hearing me?
You're clarion clear, my friend. Proceed.
All right, good. No, I was listening very keenly to what David was saying, and one thing I never heard him mention was anything about Ben Stokes' bowling, because his bowling is atrocious when we compare it to the others on this list. For me, real all-rounders are persons who do two things exceptionally well. They must be batting exceedingly well and bowling exceedingly well for me. And for me, Ben Stokes doesn't meet that criteria. I have a real problem when persons willy-nilly label players as all-rounders. And for me, Ben Stokes has not met that mark. Until he has worked on his bowling and get that bowling better, then we can't really consider him as a true all-rounder. For me right now in the ODI game, he's a bits and pieces player who can bat a bit.
Bits and pieces player. The last time I heard that was when someone was describing Mark Elam, the former England all-rounder in brackets. I have to give you the right of rebuttal here, David, based on what the three men have said, especially Zahir.
Do you know, absolutely right, George. It was Mark Elam that was described as a bits and pieces player. He really was a bits and pieces player. You know, he was not fit to be in the same dressing room as Ben Stokes. Who was the go-to bowler? Who is England's go-to bowler when they really need a wicket in a test match? It's Ben Stokes. He is a genuine all-rounder. You say, right, his body of work is not as complete as some of the others. Of course not. He's 28 years old. He's plenty more to come. That should not be a penalty against him. When we set the rules for the SportsMax Ultimate 11, it didn't say current players are excluded. So any current player, by definition, is not yet having a complete body of work. He hasn't shown everything he's capable of because he's only halfway through his career. Can't be penalised for that.
Can we?
Yes, Chris, go ahead. Go ahead, Chris. Go ahead.
No, I was saying, David, can we rightfully pick on hope, though? Because, yes, his body of work is not complete. Agreed. But you are trying to say that he deserves to be in the Ultimate 11 based on promise. We can't really work with promise.
No,
Ben Stokes, they never deliver with the ball properly.
Promising is the sort of guy who is a 27-year-old who's yet to score a test match century is still called promising. We can think of a few of those from every country in the world. Ben Stokes with the ball. Ben Stokes with the ball, Chris. Go-to man. Just go back to January in South Africa when England needed 3 wickets to win that test match. It was Ben Stokes who delivered with all 3 of them.
Hold on, gentlemen. Hold on. Let's do some order. I'm going to give everybody a piece of the reply. Fret not. David knows what it feels like. He's Gregory Isaacs, one man against the world. Chris, take a piece, run, and I'm going to come to you, Zahir. Chris, go ahead.
No, all I'm saying to David is all of the examples that David have drawn on are Test cricket, and I thoroughly agree. I mean, that exquisite 258 with the bat from Ben Stokes, he's a go-to man in the English team in Test cricket. But the Test cricket format is gone. He didn't make the team. He didn't make the cut. So we're putting Test cricket aside. We're thinking of ODI cricket and what he has delivered in ODI cricket. And he hasn't been the go-to man for England with the ball. And he hasn't delivered with the ball. He has produced many great innings with the bat. I agree. But not with the ball.
Zahir, we're stealing time. I'm coming to you now. What say you?
Yeah, I'm just going to keep on the same train that I've been on. With the bat, Ben Stokes is good. But in terms of the ball, he's a bits and pieces bowler. He's just not somebody that can win a match for you with the ball in ODI cricket. In Test cricket, exceptional. He had a great summer last year. But when we look at the 8 years of his career so far in the ODI game, he cannot match up to these 12 that we have on this list.
Uncle Scott, what say you?
So I wouldn't go as far as saying that he's a bits and pieces bowler. I believe that he's a genuine all-rounder, and he has very good potential. It's just that he doesn't have the body of work for me to say, because when I did some analysis, what Ben Stokes is doing now after 81 games is similar to what a lot of the people on the list was doing after 81 games. So I can't call him a bits and pieces all-rounder or bowler. What I can say, as I said before, right, what I'm saying. So I can't call him properly a bits and pieces bowler. I can say that he's an up-and-coming all-rounder who's showing promise, a lot of promise with the bat. He still needs to do some work with the ball. He can get better. But I won't put him in a conversation when I'm talking about best of all time.
All right, gentlemen. Since there's no new information coming from all of you, you're resolute in what you said. Kerry was the last to speak, so we heard that. We know where the views are on Ben Stokes. David needs some support. Let's see if he can get it from the fans online, because we're going to do him the courtesy of sticking Ben Stokes on that list and asking the fans online to vote. Well, he's already there. So let's see, David, if John and the Jane public can help you out, because you're getting no support from the gentlemen in the boxes around you. All right, let's look at the other men on the list. We've argued over the wild card. Let's get the list again, Mr. Producer, and remind the gentlemen of the all-rounders that they're picking from. So Shahid Freddie, Razak, two Pakistanis at the top, Andrew Simons, Ian Botham, Kapil Dev, Shakib Al Hassan, Imran Khan, Andy Flintoff, Shane Watson, Jacques Callis, Lance Kloofsener, and Dwayne Bravo. Chris, what make you of this 12?
A very tough one, George. I know a lot of persons thought that this might be easier. The challenge I'm having is, how do you determine what you want in the all-rounder? Are you basing it on the complement of the side that we have already? So we already have 6 players. Are we looking for that all-rounder to be that number 7? Are we looking for it to be a spinner versus a pacer? And I think that's where the challenge comes in. What do we want from this all-rounder? Do we want a batting all-rounder, a bowling all-rounder, or just want someone who does both well? And I think that has been my biggest challenge. There's very few players in that position who do both very well.
All right, Zahir?
Number 7 position.
Okay, got you on that, Chris. Zahir, what say you?
For me, the 12 that we have here, these guys, some of these guys are really exceptional. Ben Stokes might be, a few years down the road, might look better. But right now, if you look at it, he has the worst bowling average of the 12 or 13 that we're looking at. So we have to put him one side. But this group of players, I am looking for somebody who is contributing for me positively, meaning that they're contributing more with the bat than what they're conceding with the ball. So when you look at it, they must be adding a plus to the team. And for me, only a few persons make that list. There are some persons on the list that I think should not be on this list, but we had to stretch it to 12. But for me, when we look at the elite, it's going to come down to 2 or 3 of these all-arounders to choose for one of them.
Kerry, what say you?
Yeah, I mean, I can say ditto. The reality is the list, or when you're looking for all-rounders, going back to what Chris said, I mean, whether you're looking for somebody to complement the other players who who have been selected already. For me, I'm looking at the best all-rounder, whether spinner or pace. The best man who can come in and do that job. And invariably, the best all-rounder will complement any single team at all that you have. So if you have 2 spinners already, and he's going to make a 3rd spinner, because he is top grade, he's going to be maybe a notch below the other spinners that you have, and he can also give you runs maybe a notch below the top order batsmen. So I'm looking at the best all-rounder, be it pacer or spinner. I'm looking at the man who can come in and do a job either with the ball or with the bat just as good as any one of the other top order people, specialists.
All right. So we're at the point where we have to cut the list from 13 to 6. Just before we do that, though, and my producer is putting his hair out behind the glass. But gentlemen, going from what Chris said, is there any one man on this list who ought not to be on the list because there's daylight between him and the others? Chris, who's that one man?
The Englishman. No, not David Brooks. Sorry.
No, not
David.
The team, not the panel.
Good night.
All right. So hold on. But Chris, there's Ian Botham and Freddie Flintoff. Which one?
The night.
The night. Sir Ian Botham. All right, fine. Zahir, is there anybody who there's daylight between him and the rest here? He shouldn't be on the list.
Looking at all the metrics and stuff, it boils down to the same individual, Ian Botham. When we look at his overall record and career,
yes.
He's the one that is the lower in the ranking of the
Kerry,
others.
quick question, same for you.
Yeah, Botham.
Oh gosh. All right, David, just for the record, who shouldn't be on this list?
When you say just for the record, George, you mean it's of no consequence with regard to the actual outcome?
No, it is of consequence. It is of consequence.
We talk about bits and pieces bowlers. Andrew Simons is a personification of that. There's slow medium dobbers in the ultimate ODI 11. His little slow medium dobbers don't count as bowling, not against quality opposition.
Hear you on that. So Andrew Simons, the Aussie, and why am I not surprised? All right, gentlemen, let's cut from 13 to 6. I'm going to start with you, Kerry. Hold on. Contemplate. We're going to do this formally, so contemplate. But Kerry, you're coming first. Let's go with the graphics, my friend. So those are the 12 names, and there are a couple men that they say, 13 names, beg your pardon. Stokes was added to the list just now, so it moves from 12 to 13. All right, Kerry, which 7 are you taking out? Remember, just tell me the names of those you're taking out. Which 7 from this 13 are you taking out?
All right. Well, I had listed who I'm keeping. So to tell you who I'm taking out, I'd have to go back and look.
Don't do that. Do it the easy way then. Give me who you have, and then we'll say the others that you haven't called are the ones you're taking out. No problem.
Right. Okay. So I'm keeping certainly Callis, Alassane, Dev, Khan, Watson, and I know a lot of persons will not be pleased with this, but Klusener.
You're keeping Lance Klusener. All right.
Yes.
Lance Klusener it is, the man from KwaZulu-Natal. Zahir, you're 7 that you're cutting from this list of 13.
I'll just start off with David Brooks' favorite, Ben Stokes, Andrew Simons. Andrew Simons, Abdul Razak, Kapil Dev, Bravo, Botham, and I'm going to also cut Shahid Afridi.
Oh, all right. So that's the 7 from Zahir. The producers have made their note. Christopher, what say you?
Oh, George, don't allow David to go through this again. I thought you would have given him the floor first, man. Ian Botham first, Ben Stokes, Ian Botham third, Ben Stokes fourth. Stokes, Botham out for me. Abdul Razak out for me. Kapil Dev out for me. Andrew Simons, I agree with David. Bowling not good enough. Andrew Simons out for me. Really good innings with the bat, but he goes the Australian. How much do I have left? Shahid Afridi, exciting player. I just think that didn't deliver enough on his potential, especially with the bat and so on. So I'll have to cut Shahid, and he was a bit expensive with the ball as well, even though he did produce many 5-wicket hauls.
Yeah.
So the 2 Pakistanis out.
Hear you on that. Thank you, Chris. David, the 7 you're cutting.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm glad it's a lockdown, because I'd have hated to have come all the way to Kingston, Jamaica and seen all my guys fall at the first. So I'm cutting out, I'm keeping Stokes, obviously. I'm going to cut Freddie Flintoff, you'll be pleased to hear, George.
Yes, sir, you have to.
Not on my list.
Yes.
Yeah, he's out. I'm cutting Simons, obviously, Razak, Lance Klusener, Jacques Callis, it will be no surprise to hear. He follows me around, but he's still out. And also cutting out Shahid Afridi. That leaves me with my 6.
All right. So that's that. All right. So while our producers deliberate, Lance, Freddie Flintoff. You know, when I was started the show and I was teasing David, Freddie Flintoff was the guy I had in mind because
I recognize that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm saying, all right, Flintoff has had some moments, but Flintoff, it's as if the English are so pining after a hero. They want the superhero figure. And Freddie Flintoff's, the mystique around Freddie Flintoff was way bigger than Freddie Flintoff's achievements on the field. And I really could not see what people saw. It's almost like a pretty girl, and you and your friends differ violently on the level of attractiveness.
But you know, George, I think I have Flintoff a little higher on my rating than you do, because I thought he was a pretty solid all-rounder, and there were injury issues that sort of hamstrung his overall
I like
production
that word, Lance. Hamstrung.
as an all-rounder. I
like
thought
that
he was
word.
a pretty. I certainly think he was a better all-rounder than Ian Botham was, who is glorified in England.
All right.
He has the best bowling average of all the all-rounders on this current list. The best bowling average.
All right. Let's talk about Freddie Flintoff, because my producer is telling me in my ear, gentlemen, that we have a tie. So we need to vote to.
You mean the panelists need to vote?
For sure. Yes. They need to vote. It's going to be between Flintoff and Kapil Dev.
Wow.
So, gentlemen, it's between keeping Freddie Flintoff or keeping the great Indian Kapil Dev. Let's go. Let's vote quickly. Who are you keeping, Kerry Scott? Dev or Flintoff?
Dev.
Zahir.
I have to keep Flintoff, because if you look at the record between the two of them, Flintoff is contributing more consistently,
all right,
positively compared to the other.
All right, Chris?
Andrew Flintoff for sure.
All right, and David? He's keeping him, yeah. And David?
Well, I may surprise you here. I'm a big Kapil Dev fan, so I'm keeping Kapil Dev. It's over to you guys. The hosts may have to decide.
So it's 2-2.
Is there any,
No.
What's the
It's 2-2.
So why don't they go to Sachin Ramsabag or someone else on the? I don't think the zone team should.
No, we shouldn't get involved in that. That's the panel's business, Mr. Producer.
Yes.
That's not our fight.
And I'm quite surprised actually that Dev and Freddie Flintoff are fighting for their lives.
All right, so that's going to be sorted out. So I agree with you, lads. Very good save right there.
Yes.
All right, so those who are gone for sure are, the graphics will tell you, Abdul Razak is gone for sure. Afridi is gone. Andrew Simon. This entire slate is gone.
Yeah.
The panel of experts have no use for these guys. All right. So the two men fighting to stay in are on this pane of glass. Imran is safe for sure. Shakib Al Hassan was picked by Kerry. Oh, all those four are safe? All right, let's go to this one now. DJ Bravo is gone for sure. Ben Stokes is gone for sure.
Yeah, Stokes is out.
Klusner, one man picked Klusner. That was Kerry Scott. Oh, Klusner still lives. All right, so Bravo and Stokes are gone. So we have some more tidying up to do, but this will be after the other panelists are.
Yeah. And I
consulted.
believe, George, that our producer may get in touch with Sachin and any other panelists who had been on the ODI discussion this week to make a choice between Flintoff and Kapil Dev, so that when we come back after the break, we will know who is in and who is out.
All right, so we take the break. Stay where you are, gentlemen. We're going to take a break and come right back.
Ludacris going in on the verse, cause I never been defeated and I won't stop now. Keep your hands up, get them in the sky for the homies that ain't making it, my folks locked down. I never went nowhere. What they saying, Luda's back. Got money on my mind, I can never get enough. And every time I step up in the building.
Inside the last half an hour of the SportsMax Zone for this Wednesday, and we are still locked in discussion for the final all-rounders for the ODIs. The panel has spoken their votes, narrowing a list of 13 to 6 as we get closer to selecting their ultimate all-rounder for the SportsMax One-Day International 11. And you will see that Kapil Dev is in there. That's because in the last 2 minutes, Sachin Ramsabag was contacted by our producers and he gave the edge to Kapil Dev over Freddie Flintoff. So Flintoff is out. Of course, Sachin had been a part of the panelists and their discussions in the ODIs here since the week started Now, remember, the panel's pick is worth 30% of the overall decision, but the online votes carry a 40% weighting. And it's Jacques Callis who is looking favourite to steal that 40%. He has 41.14% of the online votes at the moment. That's well clear of anyone else. Shakib Al Hassan comes in next at 12.57. Shahid Afridi, 11.43. Shane Watson, 9.14. And Andrew Flintoff, who is off the panelist list at the moment, at 6.29. And we are looking at the final 6 now. So we are getting ready to have them analyze what's in front of them. We've already seen them eliminate 7 of the 13 players that were there. Let's start with David Brooke. You've been the star of the panel since the start of this show. How satisfied or dissatisfied are you with the current 6 as it now stands? And who are the ones looking good for you?
Well, you have to pick from those who are left. There's no point crying over spilt talent. Imran Khan, someone who can bat and bowl. So, I think finding someone who you build a team around, not just filling the space. I think this is, I'm backing up Kerry's point earlier of choosing the very best. The very best guy, either the bat or ball, who could do a job for you. So I'm still supporting Imran Khan. I know we're not meant to be taking this into account, but I have him as captain as well. A man talented enough to lead a country, surely can lead a team, the ultimate ODI side.
All right, Zahir, I want to get you in here because Kapil Dev only just made it in. I recognize that what you had said earlier on, you didn't favor him too much. I suspect his batting average of 23 may be an issue for you. I suggest, though, that his strike rate is 95, which is second only to Shahid Afridi, and he has the best economy rate, I think, of all the players involved in this all-rounders list. What's it about Kapil Dev, who stunningly led India to an upset victory over the West Indies in the 1983 final to the World Cup title? Why is Kapil Dev not scoring heavily in your books?
It comes down to that batting average. For me, Kapil Dev did not produce enough for his team consistently with the batting down the order for India. I think it's a travesty for Kapil Dev to make this final 6 over Flintoff. Flintoff, who has the best bowling average. Flintoff has a better bowling average, a better batting average than Kapil Dev. And for Kapil Dev to make it, if it was Test cricket, I could understand. But in the ODI game, Flintoff is a better all-rounder for me when we compare him to Kapil Dev. Kapil Dev just not up to it for me in the ODI game.
Yeah. All right. Kerry Scott, I'm not sure if you want to stick with this Kapil Dev discussion or if you want to stretch it further to the other 5 that we're looking at, which you will have to choose from in a moment.
Yeah, I mean, Kapil Dev for me, he presents to me a player with far more skill with the ball. I mean, fine, we understand that he wasn't as prolific with the bat as Flintoff, but where he wasn't as prolific with the bat, he made up with the ball. He also made up, and going back to on Monday that we were discussing about impact on big occasions. This man had a major impact in the 1983 World Cup. So if you're talking about a man who shines on the big stage when his team asked him to, that is the man they call Kapil Dev. So I mean, for me, Freddie is an excellent comparison. However, for me, I was just looking at somebody who would be able to offer me a little bit more than the regular. What I call a brute force type T20 skill.
Yeah. I want to remind everyone as well that in that same 1983 final that the Indians won under Kapil Dev's leadership, there was a match against Little Zimbabwe that they were 17 for 5 India. Kapil Dev came in and made 175 not out of 138 balls and propelled them to victory that set them on the path to upsetting the West Indies in the final as well. Chris Taylor, your favourite from this 6, the favourite few that you're looking at. I'm not sure if you want to make any comment on the Kapil Dev tour because all 3 before you had done so.
I'm sure you will.
I am certainly supporting Zaire 100%. I'm a much bigger fan of Andrew Flintoff. I hear you. I agree that Kapil Dev did have moments of brilliance, and true, it did come in that World Cup. But I just think that Kapil Dev's career was not consistent. And he, you know, as I said, he's not scoring enough runs to make up for the runs that he concedes with the ball. I mean, averaging 23 but conceding 27 with the ball. You're in the negative in ODI cricket when it's all about conservation of runs and so on. So
yes, but his economy rate, Chris, is the best of them all. Kapil Dev's economy rate is the best of them all.
Precisely.
And you will find generally that the bowlers who bowl in that red ball era, for the most part, do have better economy rates. He is not the only one. There are quite a few with very good economy rates of that era. I think the white ball and the newer formats have been much harder to contain in terms of the bowling, and you find that the economy rates of bowlers generally have gone up. So I don't think Kapil Dev is anything different to many of the bowlers who bowl in that time, but that's my feeling. He wouldn't have made my 6. You know, the surprising thing about it is one of the favorites for me in this setup, which would come as a surprise to many, is actually Lance Klusener. I'm a big fan of Lance Klusener. I actually think that Lance Klusener, you're looking for a number 7, and that is actually the position that Lance Klusener filled for a lot of his career, 7 and 8. Had many top innings if we're talking about World Cup performances and so on, and was excellent with the ball. He was a wicket taker for South Africa. I think he has 6-5 wicket hauls. Average is good, and even with the bat, he averages 41. I mean, he is a person to me who filled that position, and we can remember many moments with him and South Africa over time. So he's one of my favorites. The Protea.
Yeah.
And I also like Shakib Al Hassan. I think that Shakib Al Hassan has come up in a team that has always been dominated, Bangladesh. So every team he has played against is a team generally that's better than him. And yet he's managed to average almost 40 with the bat with 9 ODI hundreds. He's scored a couple in the World Cup as well. He averages over 50 in the World Cup with the bat. And for a spinner in this era to average just 30 with the ball, I think, and a strike rate of just about 40, I think is actually pretty good in a very weak team. So I like Shakib Al Hassan as well.
Okay, just before we get you gentlemen to vote, I want to get a quick comment from the studious one, Zahir, because Chris Taylor just spoke favorably about Lance Klusener. Does the fact, Zahir, that he is a left-hander, which we haven't had any of from batting 1 to 6 so far in the team that the panelists have so far assembled, does that give him any pluses?
It shouldn't. For me, Lance Klusener is the best all-rounder in this bunch here. If we look at Lance Klusener, and I'm going to pick off something that Kerry said. Kerry speaks about performing on the big stage. If we look at Lance Klusener, for example, in the World Cup, Lance Klusener, the difference between his bowling and batting average is over 100. He has had the highest batting average of any player that has played 10 or more innings in the World Cup. And if we look at his bowling average in the World Cup, his bowling average is 22 in the World Cup. He has been an exceptional player, and for me, he is the first person I always write down when I'm doing my ODI 11.
So his teammates let him down in the World Cup then?
Yes, as Steve Ward said, Herschel Gibbs dropped the World Cup.
Or any other quick comments on Lance Klusener? Because I think Zahir just surprised us there. Just before you guys get ready to vote.
So my only thing is I'm not sure if maybe, and this is not about Lance Klusener, very quickly though, I'm not sure if we had included someone like a Sean Pollock, maybe maybe we would be here speaking about a different 6 as opposed to what we have selected here. Yeah. Sean Pollock has had an outstanding career in ODIs.
Yeah, 32 average with a bat and 24 with a ball. Pretty well, certainly with those bowling averages, pretty impressive. Only Flintoff has as good a bowling average of the list that we looked at. All right, quickly, your favourites before you go to vote. David Brooke, your favourite of the current 6 remaining.
My favourite of the current 6 remaining is Imran Khan. I'm favouring match winners.
Yes.
The thing is with the Protea, the discussion about the Proteas, and it comes back to the very first thing that George said tonight. On the occasion when you really needed them, they choked.
Chris
and Klusner, all of them, Callis, they all chose.
Not Klusner.
Yes, he was a part of the trophy squad.
Callis choked, but not Klusner.
Klusner choked.
All right.
Not Klusner.
Okay.
No.
All right. Well, gentlemen, I think.
Bring yourself back to that final moment.
Alan Donald choked.
Klusner,
Vice versa.
Klusner as a senior partner, he didn't manage that situation well.
No.
If you look at what happened before the actual run out, he should have called Donald and they should have had a proper plan in place. So the moment Klusner hit that ball, there would have been absolutely no consideration in Alan Donald's mind. But the only thing that Alan Donald will be thinking about is getting to the next end, and Klusner will be looking about getting to the next end. If the throw comes in and misses the stumps, they win. If it hits the stumps, then hey, maybe they lose. But it was evident to me that Klusner did not plan all the way to the end, and that that is something that you cannot overlook.
All right, Kerry Scott, thank you very much, gentlemen. Stand by. We're about to do the voting. That comes up now. Voting time now, gentlemen. We heard you speak in the last 3 or 4 minutes, so we kind of think we know where you're going. Let's start with Chris Taylor, your chosen all-rounder of the 6.
Time to choose one.
Yes.
Lance Klusner.
Lance Klusner for Chris Taylor. David Brooke, your choice.
Imran Khan.
Imran Khan, says David Brooke. Zahir Clark, who's your pick?
For me, it's going to be Lance Klusner, a man who, in 73% of the innings that he was not out for, South Africa went on to win.
Kerry Scott.
Imran Khan.
So we have a tie again. So as we were, when we were trying to decide the final 6, there was a deadlock between Freddie Flintoff and Kapil Dev. Now we have a deadlock, 2 each, saying Imran Khan and Lance Klusner. So you've got to break it, gentlemen. I'm not sure who is willing to give an inch, George. This is
no, they're calling someone live. They're calling someone. The
maybe
producers
Sachin.
are.
Maybe Sachin has to break it again.
Yep.
The producer is suggesting that if any of our 4 panelists are willing to reconsider and give way, seeing that we have a deadlock, then Sachin will break the deadlock. Can you say you're standing firm, or is there room for discussion among you?
I just want to say one thing.
Yes,
Zahir.
Yes.
Zahir, please rest your case, sir. Because before Lance started talking, you went into the reasons why Klusner should be the one. So I'm asking you, rest your case, sir.
No, man, I can add more things to the case if you want me to. I'm full of ammunition over here. If you want more, I can give you more out of the gun.
My case is rested on Imran Khan.
All right, so we're locked. It seems as if we're locked because Chris is moving, and David Brooke, I don't think, is moving from Imran Khan, and Chris stays with Lance Klusner. So we're at 2-2. Can we get Sachin Ramsabag in here to break the deadlock as he did with the earlier one when we were trying to reduce to 6? I'm told by the producers, George, that we have to give the zone picks and give our panelists some time to sort their issues out. The zone pick for the all-rounder is Imran Khan. I think he was a very, very popular vote, Imran Khan, among the zone team. I think I saw at least one Lance Klusner, and we are told now that Sachin Ramsabag has chosen Imran Khan. So Imran Khan slices the position over Lance Klusner on Sachin Ramsabag's vote. Well, gentlemen, we want to thank you. We did suggest during our pre-segment discussion that this would have been a tougher job than selecting the wicketkeeper yesterday, and it certainly was. But, gentlemen, Chris Taylor, Zahir Clark, Kerry Scott, and David Brook. We thank you for joining us, and we look forward to having more discussions on this because we do have the bowlers to go through as well. But we thank you very much. It was a tough and riveting segment here to decide on the all-rounder spot, which goes to Imran Khan. Thank you very much. Yeah, George. So Imran Khan, who was your pick, gets the pick for the all-rounder spot. So we still have no left-handers in our team for the panelists.
Very unbalanced team you're picking, Whitaker. I must tell you.
Unbalanced just because they're in the left-handers?
Yeah, but that's what balances in a cricket batting lineup, isn't it? Yeah. It's natural to have variety for balance. Yeah.
Okay. Back with more after this.
Everybody hands go up, and they stay there, and they say yeah.